Hey, what's going on, good people? It's your girl T Hardaway, and I'm back again with another wonderful interview. My guy Michael Basile, he's still out, but we're gonna keep it rolling. Y'all send him some positive love, get on Instagram and all that good stuff. Send him some heart emojis. But today I have another wonderful and illustrious guest. I've known this guy for quite some time. Time has started moving on us, right? We're getting on up there a little bit. This guy is a musician. He's a teacher. He's an entrepreneur. He's a father. He's a husband. He's all of these things. Y'all give it up for my man, Anthony Doughboy Chapman.
Yeah, what's good?
What's up, and how you doing, man?
Man, I'm blessed, truly blessed. You know what I mean? Like no complaints, just blessed, feeling good, feeling great. How are you?
Hey, man, blessed and highly favored. I can't complain. So we're gonna kick this thing off like we always do. Tell us your story.
Uh-huh. So my story is Anthony Leon Chapman II, namesake of my father, Anthony Leon Muzon Chapman Sr. Born and raised Fort Myers, Florida. Florida boy to the core, Caribbean background. Like we just, I'm just an upbeat, happy-go-lucky type guy. Uh, Man, I'm just a positive beam of light in the world. I wasn't always like that, but that's where I'm at now at the age of 36. You know, in the youth, I was a little wild. You can attest to it. We went to college together, so I know I was on the quad doing whatever, but I'm a grown man right now, and that's my whole brand, my whole way of life. That's just who I am, man. Oh, AKA Doughboy the Chef. I mean, that's just we'll get into that though.
Doughboy the chef. All
Yeah,
right. Well, I can definitely attest to that. You've had an evolution as a man.
yeah.
But though when I met you, well, not when I met you, you've been an all around hustler the whole time I've pretty much known you. Um,
Facts.
where did you get that spirit from?
Um, that's the reason why I start off by saying my father's name, saying namesake of my father. I got it from my father and my mother. I can't leave my mother out, but definitely my father more so because those get rich quick schemes, the harebrained schemes they call them. My dad has done all of it. I was just telling somebody, I'm kid you not, like Monday. I was telling the guy, I said, y'all remember that car washing a bottle? Like a bottle, and you would see like crackheads on the street come up to you, spray a little bit on your car, and be trying to wipe your headlights. Well, in the late '90s or mid late '90s, that was a real big thing, and it was like door to door salesmen doing that. I seen my dad hustle those products. I seen my dad sell kitchen knives. I seen my dad, try to do a lot of legit things. And I'm pretty sure, he had me when he was 19 years old. So I'm pretty sure he, did some sort of nefarious things to survive as a young father growing up in Fort Myers, Florida, which is not a cakewalk. You know what I mean? I mean, y'all probably have heard of Deion Sanders in the zeitgeist. He talks about Fort Myers all the time, and it ain't no cakewalk there, man. Florida in general ain't no cakewalk. I know a lot of people think it is, but some of these nooks and crannies and these major cities, you got to do what you got to do to survive, and that breeds hustlers, and I like to, well, I know now that those are businessmen. Hustlers are businessmen. That's what cats on Wall Street are doing. They're hustling, finances. They're taking other people's finances and flipping it. It's no different from the guy on the corner that's taking product and flipping it. It's the same thing. It's just not legit. One thing's not legit, the other thing is legit. So that's where that hustler spirit comes from. And even with my mom, my mom was working at a daycare when I was in elementary school, and there's a whole story behind why she quit. But she ended up quitting one day. A couple of weeks went by, enrolled herself in some classes. I think back then it was early childhood development. I might still be called that. And she started her own home daycare. That was a real big thing in the late '90s. On home daycare, she did that for 16 years from the time that she quit, and then went a step further than that for 5 more years after that. Had a brick and mortar, her own brick and mortar separate building daycare until she retired from doing that, and then um, went into the education field. She just kind of got tired of the small babies. I don't know if they got tired of it. Out. outgrew it. She wanted to move on to the next level. So that hustler mentality, that hustler spirit, I get that from my parents, with my father in particular, because I mean he's always the guy that's going to go the extra mile to provide. You know.
That's what's up. That's what I can definitely see that in you. Um, you said you're from Fort Myers. Where's that at in relation to Florida?
Southwest Florida. If you're good with geography, if you know where the Gulf of Mexico is, that's where we're at. We're Gulf of Mexico, South Florida, about what 180 miles south of Tampa. That might be wrong, but you can look it up on the map. We there. We there. You know what I'm saying? It's close to Naples, if you know Naples. Oh, I give you something even better. Current events, like I tell my students. Current events. A hurricane just happened, and it wiped out Sanibel Island. Well, that's all. That's like the beach suburb of Fort Myers. So
Oh,
Sanibel, if you know where that's at, Fort Myers, Florida.
okay.
Southwest Florida. Yeah.
All right. So you coming out of Fort Myers. I'm gonna backtrack to Bethune-Cookman days. Bethune-Cookman is where I met you. What
Hmm.
made you even come to school there?
Well, I tell this story to non-Wildcats. I try not to tell it to Wildcats, but I applied to go to FAM. That's where a lot of us coming out of Fort Myers was going. We were going to FAM. But FAM, I don't know, they paperwork weren't right, and they never really got back to me. When they did get back to me, it was like, I did something wrong. You got to submit this. You got to submit that. So I got accepted in the Clark. I got accepted in the FGCU, which is in Fort Myers, and I really didn't want to be home. Um, FIU, I got accepted into, and Cookman. And I had already been coming up to Daytona. Like I said, I'm a real life Florida boy. So, BCR, yeah, I know I was 16, 17, but we was, taking them rides up here. We had to come see what it was about. So BCR, the car shows, even just spring break in general, you want to come up here and vibe. So I already knew it was a vibe up here. And I was aware of the history of equipment was actually pulled me in. So that's what really finally pulled me in. Like, a black woman starting a school is like, and we'll probably get into it later on in the interview, but black women in my life are very significant. So
Mm.
that was like the thing that pulled me in, because when I got here, I was still undecided on a major. So
Mm.
it wasn't because I came from any particular major.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a lot of people's story,
Yeah,
though. That's a lot of people's story. So
yeah,
you get to Bethune-Cookman, and I always knew you as the hustler on campus. You and Dan was selling
yeah.
grills,
Grills,
doing
yeah.
parties, something. There was always something
making
happening.
making beats, selling sandwiches out of La Fever, third floor, room 329. We had the sandwiches chip combo with the little huggy juice. You just come up there and get you one. My boy Johnny next door had the barbershop. I had the studio going in at the same time. I mean, it was real life hustling there. For
It
real,
was
real life
it
hustling.
was for sure hustling. And I was gonna
Yeah.
ask you, like, so take me back to that time that you had all that going on. What was your goal in all that?
At the time, the motivation was definitely just money. You're a college student. You was there. You go to the caf, you get that little half a piece of steak or whatever it was eating, that one chicken leg, you know what I'm saying? You like, man, I'm still kind of hungry. Like, what I'm gonna do? I'm a freshman. I don't got the vehicle with me, so what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna walk to Burger King or Popeyes. I don't think I want to make that trek. So I want to have me some finances where I can, catch a Pierre, go to Walmart, stock the refrigerator up. You know what I'm saying? So when I go back to the dorm, I got something to eat. So that was the motivation right there, just to eat, to survive college life.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
that. I feel that.
yeah.
When for those who don't know, he said catch a Pierre. A Pierre, for
That's
those who
old
from
school.
that's Daytona Beach old school. Pierre
That's
shuttle used
old
to be
school.
this
Pierre
little
Shuttle.
old black man who would drive this shuttle around the campus and pick us up and take us back from Walmart, the club.
Black Haitian man, you know what I'm saying?
Oh
And
yeah, that's
shout
right.
out
He was a
to
Haitian
those. They
guy.
are Haitians are definitely hustlers by nature. So you got
Yeah,
to shout out to those on that one,
for
man. Yeah,
sure, for
Pierre.
sure. I forgot. Yeah, yes, he was definitely a Haitian guy. He was cool, but he wouldn't wait on you, and he was
Cool.
about his
Oh
money.
nah. Oh nah.
He would leave you.
Hey, I need that money before you get in the van. Before you, bro, he would stop you at you put the arm up. Hey, Go ahead and give them $3. Run them
Let me
$3 real
let me get
quick.
help out you, bro. Oh
And you
man.
had to pay the same fare on the way back.
Oh yeah, you had to make sure you had your money for there and back because he was sure enough leave you where he took you.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. All right. So you were a certified hustler. You had a record label in college as well, right?
Yeah, records out the kitchen. And it kind of was like a thing that was just playing around with it in high school, records out the kitchen. The reason the name records out the kitchen because my homeboy Eddie Purnell in the old project in Fort Myers, Florida, like we were literally making beats in his mom's kitchen. You know, she got the stove going. We on Fruity Loops making beats. You know, we had a little drum pad hooked up, and that's where the name was kind of birthed out of. And it was really just our name as a production crew. But when I got to school, when I got up here, and I was turned on to more different technology where I could actually record from a laptop and just a good, you know, cardioid mic, I was able to set up a makeshift studio in the dorm room and record everybody because you and I both know everybody wanted to be a rapper in that 2005 to basically now era. Everybody want to be a rapper. So I mean, I jumped on the mic every now and then, but you know, my skill set was more set on the beats. You know, so I kind of gave that up.
You ain't lying. Everybody wanted to be a rapper. And the funny part is everybody wanted to be a rapper back then, and this is pre-streaming. So you got people
Oh,
slanging CDs, they trying
100%.
anything.
Anything. Anything. We used to upload songs on jump drives and just try to like catch people in the library like, yo, let me just drop this on, let me just put this on your laptop, man. Airdrop would have been, if we would have had, me and Dan would have had airdrop, we would have just airdropped the whole library.
Heck yeah.
Airdrop
Everybody
the
just here you go. Listen to this.
yeah. Yeah. It was some fun times, man.
Yeah, man. I think that's where we all kind of develop our characters in college. Because you
Yeah.
get to see who you really are, what you made out of.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say you break away from the kind of the high school huddle, like the crowds, like the cliques. You kind of break away from that, and you meet new people outside of your hometown, so you can get different experiences from different people all over. And you just click with people and it develops your, like you said, your character, your personality.
I think one of the coolest things about being on an HBCU campus is for myself, like one of the first days once everybody was there and I walked out on a quad and it was like you got to see all these black folks from different parts of the country.
Right.
And you got to see like, oh, we're definitely not a monolith. Like you see the girls from DC with the loud colors on. You see the guys and the girls from Atlanta, Jacksonville, Fort
Yeah.
Myers, Miami, California. I'm like, oh, we different, New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah.
So
My
it was,
roommate was from Philadelphia, and it was just like a culture shock of, like, we both black and we got similarities, but then it's like different things just from what we eat and how we eat it and what you put on. You know, like, you know, people put ketchup on their eggs, and that's kind of like weird to me.
yeah,
So you know,
sugar
but
in your grits.
sugar in your, I don't know about all that. Like, that's not me. That's not me. A little butter, you know what I'm saying? Some pepper on top. It's good. But hey, if you want to put sugar in it, that's fine. If you
Yeah,
want to eat oatmeal, just say that.
my next door neighbors, I never forgot I was moving in, and my next door neighbors, I hear like go-go music for the first time. I didn't know what that was. And I hear Laffy Taffy and go-go. I'm like, what is that? So I go into the room and they're like, oh, we gotta put you on. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
But you know, it's the wonderful part of the culture of being on a black college campus. People don't get to
Oh,
see that part of it. So
indeed.
you went to Bethune-Cookman, man. Um, was your path at Bethune? Was it a straight shot to success? Did you have any trials and tribulations? What happened?
Not at all on the path to success. I mean, listen, I don't. Of course, we all wish we could do something different, but I don't like the word regret. Like, I don't regret anything. I just wish I could have made some better decisions. But with that being said, you know, you 19, 20, 21. And for me, 21, I'm saying that in particular because I dropped out of Cookman twice, right? Literally after the first year, I dropped out and so to speak, dropped out because I knew in my mind I never was coming back. Like at least I thought, but I ended up taking a semester off, then got back to it, grind again. Some things happened in my life as far as deaths of loved ones, and something that Black people don't talk about and is very taboo is depression. Depression kind of set in. I know it now, didn't know it then, and I dropped out again. You know, and I actually I dropped out when the class of '09 graduated. That's why a lot of my classmates think I graduated because I just stopped coming at that same time. And it kind of like, even right now, I'm kind of getting a little choked because I really wish I would have graduated with that class because, that's our classmates, but I didn't. But nevertheless, fast forward years later, I persevered and I definitely, I graduated. So that's all that really mattered. I graduated from college. But yeah, in that time, my path was, I dropped out of school and then pursued, my passion at the time, or it still is my passion, but one of my passions, music. You know what I'm saying? We linked up. We had a band with some people from Chapman, some people outside of the school. We had a band. We traveled all over the U.S. You know what I'm saying? I was able to DJ. And those were some fun times too. We made money off of it as well, throwing our own events. So that took me into a whole nother industry, a whole nother endeavor of throwing events and learning how to throw them efficiently and learning how to manage ticket sales and learning how to manage artists. You know what I mean? Like legit starting a real record label, putting them forth an LLC, like really getting into the business side of hustling. Because hustling is like the when you're at the it's not legit stage, and then you transition into the business stage. So dropping out of school wasn't as bad as I thought it was at the time. I had a lot of life lessons, and when you trying to pursue your passion or you're pursuing your passion, any entrepreneur can tell you, like, you either sink or swim, because you either gonna go hard to pay them bills because you still gotta eat, you still gotta live somewhere. You know what I mean? So you either gonna go hard or you're just gonna give it up. and for me, giving up really wasn't an option. I've parted ways with different ventures that I've had in my life, but I never gave up. If I ended something, I left it all on the table. You know what I mean? I left it all on the floor, so to speak, to give that sports analogy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I find your story so amazing, and one of the reasons why I wanted you on the pod, is because, like, you are a story of perseverance. You kept going when you could have just said forget it and went on about your life. And there are a lot of people that can resonate with you in that way, or they have given up on their dream or their aspirations in school because they feel like it's too late for them. But I think you are the ultimate story of perseverance, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted you. And I know you're a heck of no longer a hustler, a heck of a businessman. So that makes me transition to I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit, and we're gonna go back. Live Royally. That's your brand, that's your media, that's everything. Tell us about Live Royally.
All right, so Live Royally is a motto, a phrase that was birthed out of a business that I started along with my business partner at the time, Charles Leon Ivy. Shout out to Charles Ivy, because without him, there wouldn't have been this business. And that business was the Lions Den Hookah Cafe in Daytona Beach, Florida. The first Black-owned hookah business in Daytona, possibly Florida. I don't know. I just say it. I like to say it because I want somebody to write it down. but I know for sure, definitely in Daytona Beach, and particularly in South Daytona. That's where we were located. So the phrase came about when we were coming up with the catchphrase or the motto or slogan for the Lions Den. So it was Lions Den Hookah Cafe. So hookah cafe, you're smoking. So Lions Den Hookah Cafe, smoke royally. And then, the first campaign we ran to like promote the business was, okay, me and Charles, we brainstormed, okay, well, what we're gonna do is use hashtag smoke royally. and everything else that a person is doing in their life, they can relate it to our royal lifestyle, our whole royal theme. So like if you got the podcast, you're gonna speak royally, you're gonna talk royally, you're gonna podcast royally, you know. So we still brainstorm like, we got to have something that we could outside of smoking, because smoking can't be said in every medium, right? So we was like, well, we'll encompass everything. How about we just live royally in general, right? And I said that I was the one that said the phrase, but without my business partner, he the one that coined the phrase, because he would say it on social media. He said it over and over and over and over and over and over, and it just became a thing. And like, we really knew we had something when other people would just like, I mean, they wouldn't even tag us in it. They would just be like, yeah, I'm out here with my kids, live royally. Like, oh man, that's catching on. Like it's really catching on. Then when we had patrons come to the den, and the den, that's what we affectionately called it, the den. They come to the Lions Den, they was like, take a picture, people get social media popping. And at that time, Snapchat was popping 2016. So everybody on Snap, and then we had one of the filters, Smoke World, had the smoke coming up. People started tagging it, so it really caught on, man, and it was a special thing, you know what I mean? So the live royally just encompasses everything you're doing in your life. We want you to do it to the highest standard, a royal standard, if you will. So that's where that comes from.
I love it. I love it. So Live Royally is a lifestyle brand.
It's a lifestyle, but not just lifestyle, positive lifestyle brand, like positivity, man. There's so much negativity going on. And me personally, I be careful. I'm not gonna say people choose to be negative. It's a choice to be. You make a choice when you want to be mad at stuff. Like we started to see that even on social media. Like people want to just be mad, and that's just what I believe. I think people want to be mad at stuff because you can make a choice. You can say, you know what, I think I'm gonna not look at this negative stuff. I think I'm gonna look at the negative stuff, and I'm gonna find something that's positive in it, and then maybe I can present that positivity to the person that only sees the negative, because it might be able to help them. That's what I do. I try to bring something positive to them, and when I do that, especially on social media, especially for my friends, I don't just do it to random people, because everybody's not gonna receive you, but your friends, you can like say something to them, and then I might hashtag the live royally just to let them know, like, if I hashtag that live royally, it's coming in love. Like I'm trying to show you the positivity in what you may perceive to be a negative situation, So that's what that's all about.
So you said a lot, and that is
I'm sorry. You know what's actually funny? I'm not like, and it's because I'm comfortable with you. Me and you talk outside of the camera. We talk, so it's like I'm comfortable with you, and with a crowd of people, I'm usually in the background chilling, arms folded, mug on. It's just a defense mechanism. But I'm a very positive, outgoing person, and I don't know. It's just.
Oh no. I want you to say a lot. I'm saying that you said a lot because there's a lot that's encompassed inside of Live Royally. Not in a bad way at all.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
So you have this brand,
mm-hmm.
and you want to spread positivity with your brand. What are some of the things that you all do through your brand? Like, do you throw events? Like, what do you guys do?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say it like this. Now, since we had the Lions Den, unfortunately, due to circumstances that I don't want to blame it on the pandemic. Everybody blames everything on the pandemic. But in business, sometimes you have to come to an executive decision and say, hey, how is this affecting me monetarily? How does it affect my pockets, my lifestyle, my family? And you have to come to a decision. And so Charles and I came to a decision. They're like, hey, we're going to put the Lions Den on hold, right? So we basically dissolved the business and kind of just went our separate ways. We're still cool, but he has another business that he's focused on. He has a landscaping business, successful. If you need your lawn cut in Daytona, Royal Cuts, Charles Leon Ivy, you gotta hit him up, man. Royal Cuts, not just your lawn, but landscaping, tree, pressure washing, all that. I mean, he does it all. But he did that. He went that way with it, and at the time, I was still kind of focused on other stuff just in my life. I just had a little baby girl, so I was kind of in a crossroad. I wasn't having no creative juices flowing at the time. But then one of my mentor here at Daytona, he allowed me the opportunity to throw events because I just came from the den that we threw events through the business. So I was able to throw events, and I was trying to think of like, all right, well, what when you're doing any kind of business, for me, I feel like when you're creating it, it's like a child, and you need to name that child. That's just my philosophy. You need to name it, so then it's right there. It's a tangible item now, because intellectual property is up here, but you need to put it on paper so you can see it, and then
Bring
you
it
can
to
say, all
life.
right, let me run with it. Bring it to life. Just like the Bible, breath, breathe air in your nostrils. Now you're alive. You're living. You're living royally. LiveRoyally.com. Get you a
LiveRoyally.com.
hoodie.
Plug that thing. Plug that thing.
Shop LiveRoyally.com. Actually, if you want to get one of these hoodies, and that's real, you can definitely go get a hoodie at shop LiveRoyally.com. But yeah, we breath life into the nostrils of Live Royally Media, and I decided with media because during the pandemic, I picked up a camera just out of being bored, really, and I had messed around with photography, videography. One thing about man, it's a lot of time. You say we, I mean, give you a lot of time if things slow down from you from home. So yeah, I was going kind of crazy, and I was doing anything, and I was able to go enroll myself as I enrolled myself into YouTube, where
Hey, Doe, you're breaking out.
Yo,
You're breaking out.
can you hear me now?
So yeah, during the pandemic, I picked up a camera. What I like to say is I enrolled myself into YouTube University, where you can go on YouTube and learn a lot of stuff. I mean, you can go in there and watch music videos if you want to, or you can go in there and learn how to, change your oil. You can go in there and look at conspiracy theory videos, which I indulge in myself from time to time. But you can go in there and learn how to be a photographer. I mean, people are literally just giving away free information that you can just go in there and do, and that's what I did. My sister Chantel Chapman, she I don't know what she was, her job or whatever, she was paying for Adobe Suite, so she had Lightroom, she had Photoshop, and I'm already nice with Photoshop, so I'm like, okay, maybe I could figure out this Lightroom situation. Go on YouTube, they showed me a few things. I was like, okay, well, I think I can do this. And of course, with anything you start new, you're gonna be trash. Like when I was making beats, if I take beats I made in 2001 or 1999, they were trash. They were Fruity Loop beats. But I can get on an MPC 1000 right now and sound like something in the industry. That's just what I can do, and that's kind of what I did. And that's not to like toot my own horn or sound arrogant. It's just confident. Like I've always had that confidence where I could I think I can do that, and I like to do it. I like to look at different photographers' pictures and just admire them and appreciate that art. Um, there's a photographer, dope, like I don't want to say urban, but the style, the grittiness. He has an urban style. Brandon Smith with Shop Open. Shout out to Crown Shop Open. Man, you got to go check him out on Instagram. And I'm trying to think what his IG is. But anyway, if you go to Shop Forever Open on Instagram, you'll find the whole team on there. And Brandon Smith, B. Smith, dope photographer. And then he showed me some things. He gave me some pointers. And I had a whole year, basically, 18 months, basically, to learn how to do photography. And I really like videography, and that was something I was already doing. So I think I kind of got lost in passionately talking. I forgot what the question really was.
No, you're good. You're good. We were just talking about what Live Royally was, how you got into media, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I was going with that. So the photography, I was doing the events, which just first it was just random events, then it turned into a series, which is a Fantasy Friday, every last Friday here in Daytona Beach at the EBE Center. That's Elaine's Blessed Event Center. Just growing sexy vibes and different type of events. I link up with different student associations that I built relationships with during my time with owning the Lions Den. You know, the Caribbean Student Association at Embry-Riddle and at Bethune-Cookman. We were throwing parties at the Den. We just kind of matriculated over to the event center. Um, uh, and I did events with the Bros. If you don't know, I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, greatest fraternity in the world. So we throw events there as well. Um, just all types of groups. We did a Mother's Day event. We do all types of different events. So I wanted to kind of have a umbrella brand, and that was Live Royally Media. And then maybe probably not maybe I think beginning of this year, my business partner that does photography with me, Sean B. That's what he goes by. I don't think he want me to put his last name out there, but Sean B. Photography is under the Live Royally Media umbrella, and a heck of a photographer. You know what I mean? Your self portraits, your family portraits. I mean, he does it all. Graduation photos, all of that. Just a creative mind when it comes to bringing to life what you want to convey through photos. And what else? What else? Oh, and all around just media, graphics. I do flyers, invitations, wedding invitations, whatever you need in that wheelhouse. And that kind of it didn't take off like right away. Like over the last, well, now it's like 2 years, to be honest with you. Over the last 2 years, I just end up building another business that branched right off of the Lions Den. It just picked up where the Lions Den, and I won't even say ended. We just kind of like put it on pause until the right moment. You know, the Lions Den is going to resurface. I'm not even going to say probably is going to resurface. Um, but yeah, that's where Live Royally branched out of the Lions Den. So, I mean, it's been a crazy journey.
You said something that's very important because you've transitioned through businesses. Like you said, there's no losses, only lessons. So you've transitioned between businesses and you have partnerships. So I was going to ask you, can you speak to the importance of A, knowing when to transition out of a business, and B, knowing the importance of having partners?
So, when the transition, um, I think it's one of those things where you know, in your heart of hearts, you know when it's time to move forward. Some people say move on, but nah, you're moving forward. Like it's a forward trajectory. You're moving forward. Like I said, with my business partner and friend, Charles Ivy, like we just knew, like, man, I don't even like to use the term count our losses. It was like we gotta do something right now, or we might be in a terrible situation 6 months, a year down the line. So
Mm-hmm.
we said, you know what, this is the time. Neither one of us really wanted to give it up at that time. But now we're both thriving in businesses that branched off of the creation of the Lions Den that we created together. So it's a beautiful thing to see businesses flourish out of a business that is just put on hold.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So A, you know it's in your gut. You know when it's time to move forward. You really do know. Because if you gotta ask somebody, if you gotta say, hey, what do you think about this? That means you already thought about it and you already have an answer of what you want to do and what you need to do. So
Mm-hmm.
the onus is on you to know and figure it out. And the part B, you said partnership, the importance of building partnership. Listen, nobody don't my grandma told me this. Nobody don't come into this world alone. You know how most people say, I came in this world alone. No, you didn't. You ain't come in this world alone. Did you step out of your mom? onto the floor and then walk walk to the car and get in the car seat and drive to the house. Did you do that? You didn't. There was a team of physicians. Yeah, I think your mother had a little something to do with it. Maybe your father was in the background, family in the lobby, a hospital building, transportation. You didn't come into the world alone. So stop pretending like you can do everything by yourself. One of our former presidents, um, actually just passed President Donald Trump. I remember one time he got on the podium, he said, "Only I can fix it alone." And I was like, oh man. Like it's not it wasn't like a hate thing. I just knew like, man, this is about to be bad. Because if you think you can you think you can do anything alone, that's the wrong mindset. That's negativity. That's, to me, that's negativity. You can't do anything by yourself in general. So in business, it's good to have some kind of partnership. Even if you're like, let's say you got a hot dog stand. Yes, you can operate that business and own that business solely with one person. But you got to have partnerships. You're going to need to buy some chips, some hot dogs. You might need a financial advisor. You might need somebody else is going to be helping you along the way. Right. So partnerships are great. You're again, to use that analogy with the hot dog stand, nobody knows you. Nobody knows do it for the hood dogs. You might need to partner with Pepsi because Pepsi is a familiar brand. And in business 101, that's called strategic alliance. Now Absolutely. People know Pepsi and they're like, okay, well, let me do it for the hood with these dogs that go along with this Pepsi that I'm familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, partnerships are definitely important. I personally don't like to do business by myself because I know for one, I'm a creative and I come up with ideas, but I have a lot of ideas flowing. Sometimes you need somebody to kind of like corral them ideas and say, hey, let's focus on this one thing right here. What do you think if we just did this, then maybe we can do that or revisit that and come back to it. So
help you get it aligned and help you get it focused and framed. Yeah.
Just like you just did. I couldn't articulate that, but then you put it together. So right there is an example. Partner. You can't do anything alone in this life.
So
in that casket. Because caskets don't
straight like that. You don't have no partners in the casket.
Nah.
Okay, so you're an established businessman. You're tried and true. You've been through the ups and downs.
Right.
But on the other side of that, there's another great thing that you also do. You're a teacher, correct?
Yes, I'm an ESC teacher at Atlantic High School. Shout out to the Atlantic High School and the Sharks. Go Sharks.
So that's not usually promoted in the entrepreneurial lifestyle of having some type of stability while also trying to be an entrepreneur. For some reason, the entrepreneurial lifestyle is quit your job, go for a leave, don't have nothing else. I know you've heard it.
You took it from me because if you listen to the internet, as I call it, you listen to the internet, boy, you got to quit your job right now.
Today.
Like, you still got a job?
What?
You got a job?
I sold 3 t-shirts. I'm out.
I'm gone. I have made it. I made it. I started an LLC.
I'm winning.
You start an LLC, you get a bank loan, and then from there you buy a Mercedes.
And now you're rich.
Now you're rich. Like, you don't need to do anything else. And I make fun of those guys sometimes. Now they have a skeleton blueprint that they're giving you, and it's really a sales tactic. They're trying to get you to keep watching the videos and subscribe to whatever they want you to subscribe to. So I understand it because I'm a businessman. So, right. But I make fun of it because it's like somebody is going to do that. What you're saying, what you're doing, and it's very, very like what's the word? It's very irresponsible of you to lead somebody on to think that they gotta, like, man, off every business I've ever started, I've still had a job. I might have less at that job, but with teaching, and I get on teachers, and now I'm on a soapbox with teachers. Teachers complain a lot. We don't get paid a lot. That's the only complaint that I kind of agree with. But all of this, like, man, I'm overworked. And they're like, yeah, we only work 188 days contracted. We got a lot of time off, you know, and a lot of teachers have 2 jobs already. And that's a systemic thing that, you know, that's a whole nother podcast. You know, teachers, it shouldn't be a reason why teachers have a whole second job.
Right.
But with that being said, for me, the entrepreneur, the creative, it gives me so much room to do what I already do, what I really love to do, and what I love to do. I love to teach. I actually do love to teach. I know some people do it for the check, but I mean, I teach ESC. You got to have a lot of patience with kids with special needs, and I have a lot of patience.
Mm.
Uh, I have a big heart. That's not to toot my own horn. That's just the reality. I mean, you know me, but the viewers, I don't know how to convey it to you. Like I'm one of those people. I actually care about other people.
Mm.
I can't help it. It's in me. That's how we were raised. My sister, man. If you think I care, you meet
Mm.
my sister. She, I mean, literally give you the shirt off her back. And
Got
I,
that empathetic heart.
you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, teaching allows me to do other things that want to do my entrepreneur lifestyle, but I also really am passionate about teaching.
That's something we have to highlight because I want these young people to stop jumping out the window at 19, 20 years old and thinking that the only thing they can do is do their business and they have to focus 100% on their business. They can't do nothing else. And, they were running their life early. So,
100%, 100%.
so why teaching though? Because you could have did other things for stability. Why did you choose education?
Honestly, long time ago, my grandmother, and this is why I said early in the podcast, like you'll understand why women are very important in my life. My grandmother told me, and she's a holy roller. That's an affectionate term for them church mothers. You know what I'm saying? Like she told me, she said, "Boy, you're a leader. You need to." And this, she was referring to me and my younger cousin. She was like, "They're watching you. You have to teach them how to be. They see you when you're out doing what you do." And my grandma, one of those people like, uh, shoot, Casey Anthony needed her on the stand. You know what I'm saying? OJ need her on the stand because she gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. She know what you did, but she gonna say stuff like really vague, like you out there doing your thing, but people are watching you and they look
Mm,
up, and you have a responsibility to lead them. You have a
mm,
responsibility to teach them, to show them through example. So I didn't do none of that in my 20s, but eventually it caught up to me. And when I first took a job in education, I was a paraprofessional, just assistant in the ESE classroom. And honestly, I came in it with the mindset of like 6 months, I'm out of here. Like I was just coming transitioning from another job. I'm like, okay, 6 months, I'm out of here. I just want to kind of get in the school system, and then I'll find another avenue. But it came back to me full circle, and I mean, kids were, and not just the kids in the classroom I was in, these main campus kids, they were looking up to me. They saw me as I don't know, a cool figure. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know why they was gravitating towards me, and to this day they still gravitate towards me. And it's like it hit me like, okay, I do have a responsibility to watch how I'm living. You know what I'm saying? Watch what I'm promoting, uh, and not like in a phony way, in a genuine way. Like I remember in high school, and I'm not gonna say his name because I'm going to a story, but a principal of mine. I mean, he was just a regular guy, and that's what I loved about him. Like, I mean, he was arrested for marijuana when we was in school. To me, that humanized him because it was like, hey man, listen, I made a mistake. I had a little spliff on me. Shouldn't ruin your life because he made a mistake. And to me, I looked up to him at that point on when I learned that story because other people was like, see, I knew it. I knew it. That guy right there, trouble. I knew it. It's like they took him down a notch because he made a mistake, like they never made a mistake. So for me, I love to share my story of perseverance with these kids because it's like, listen, you can make mistakes. You just can't keep doing them. And this is my story. And this is what I did to go 180 and turn myself around to do to move myself forward into positivity and leave the negativity behind. So
So, that's a perfect place. What happened, or what was the event that shifted you to that positivity space? What happened?
Uh, I think I don't think it was one particular event, but I do know I came to this realization of at the time it was around 27 or so, 28, um, where I said like, man, I gotta be accountable. I don't know, I really can't think of the event, but it was just like you know when it hit you like, yo, tighten up.
Mm-hmm.
You made that mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Stop blaming Stop blaming everybody else. And actually,
Mm-hmm.
I give you, I can think of one event. My girlfriend at the time, but which is now my wife, she went to law school. That was one thing that happened. That was like, I mean, she had been saying it like she was going to law school, and I'm just kind of like, okay, you're gonna go to law school. I believed her. It's not like I didn't believe her, but when she was packing them bags and, and leaving Florida to go to Ohio, it was like, oh,
She
in
gone to
my
law school.
she like she going to law school. So it was one of those things where it's like you got to tighten up. You got to really tighten it up, and that was one thing of many things, a series of events uh, that just made me be like, tighten it up. Like I can, that's the only way I can explain. I had to tighten it up, and from that point, a lot of different lifestyle changes occurred. You know, I stopped eating meat,
Mm,
you know, and that was like to get me back on track, and just because I was ridiculously overweight. I'm still overweight, but I was probably like 320. I'm not 320 anymore. I'm still fat, but I'm not 320. Not 320. You know what I'm saying? The scale dropped. Uh, I
that's
think
like
I
work in progress. Work in progress.
progress, but it was like just looking in the mirror and being like unsatisfied with who I am. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, I know people use that like as a metaphor. Like, no, I'm talking about literally looking in the mirror and you're looking at yourself like you got to tighten it up, man. It's not your appearance. You're looking sloppy out here. You know, let's start with just changing the aesthetic of Anthony Leon Chapman. That's why I go back to my real name. And some people don't even know my real name because most people know me as Doughboy, you know. But for me, it was like internally, like, hey, put that character to the side. We got to work on Anthony Leon Chapman in a second. We got to get him back in fighting trim. We got to get this man to look like a man because you're
Mm,
looking like a little boy out here.
mm,
It just clicked. So, uh, diving just, and I was already a person of faith, you know what I'm saying? 12 tribe Rastafarian, but I just was living foul. I had
mm,
to clean up my living. I had to live royally to plug that one more time, but I had to literally just clean up my living. And that started with my diet.
mm,
I changed my diet. And honestly, now that I'm really thinking about it, that's where it started. The diet, and that kind of just triggered a bunch of things, a series of events that made me change more and more of my lifestyle to clean myself up or tighten myself up, as I said. Yeah,
mm.
but definitely my girlfriend going to law school.
It's like
Women
she had
leaving.
to know. Oh, let me get it right. Got to get it right.
Right. Yeah.
So along your path, I'm not gonna say like we say we're not gonna say regrets, but along your path from where you began to where you are now, is there anything that you wish you had done differently, or just approach with a little more knowledge?
Um, I know one thing for sure. We talk about all the time. Me and my wife would say when I was at Bethune Cookman University at the time, Bethune Cookman College. You know, I wish I would have did the major mass comm for several reasons. I'll give you a serious reason. A serious reason because that's kind of what I do now. Like you know, one of my dreams, and not even a dream, it's a goal. I want to get into radio. Like I want to do that before I leave the earth. I think I got the voice for it. I just feel like I got the charisma to get on the mic and be on the radio. So I want to do that. And you know, I look at people like what's Mark last name? You know Mark. He was my RA.
Oh,
Dixon.
nails.
Yeah, DJ
DJ
Nail. You know
Nails.
what I'm saying? He on the radio. I'm like, dang, this man. I remember him being on the radio at Cookman, like, this man living out his dream on the radio. I'm like, man, that's something I think I would like to do.
You know what's so funny about this?
What's that?
I ain't gonna hold you. I thought you was a mass comm major the whole time.
That's
I
because
really did.
that's because I was always in the studio.
I
Free
thought you
studio
were.
time. Free studio time. I definitely was not, but my best friend from Fort Myers as well, you know, she was a mass comm major. She kept telling me, switch your major to mass comm. And the funny reason I said I was going to tell you is because I could have just cheated off everybody. Like, oh, I wouldn't say back that up. Let's say it like this: the mass comm community were very helpful to each other in uplifting each other to graduate.
You could have done some collaborative learning.
Collaborative. Oh man, I just learned that in a meeting the other day. I could have did some collaborative learning that would have got me to the place that I needed to be. 100 collaborative learning. I don't know why I didn't use that one.
It's a lot of collaboration going out here in these
Hey,
streets.
listen, you can't do it alone. You can't do
it takes a tribe.
It takes a tribe. It takes a village, you know. So real talk, that's what I should have done. And like I said, I don't regret my path because it got me to be the man I am today. But I wish I could have done that, I'll say I could have done that differently. And who knows? In my mind, I think by doing that, I would have graduated on time. But in the grand scheme of things, you know, I still would have had the death of my grandmother and grandfather that affected me tremendously, and I could have still end up taking the same path. So you never know. It's the butterfly effect. It might affect some things, but eventually these parallel universes, if you believe in that, are still gonna meet again because they're not actually parallel, man. You know, God already wrote your story. Gonna turn out the way it's gonna turn out.
Yeah. And as I started to get older, one of the things I had to start to learn to accept, which I hate to accept, but I've had a conversations with God that I'm going to accept it, is that God's timing is better than ours. So
100%.
you have to go through some things sometimes. Like I know for myself, before I arrive at any destination, I always go through a season of preparation, which sucks. And it may come in the form of a letdown. It may come in the form of whatever, but it's always going to be, hey, I want to give you this, but you're not ready. So I'm going to give you this first. And you're like,
That's the thing. You're not ready to be a steward over those things.
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
You know, I started off by saying like I'm tremendously blessed because like I mean, it's just been a comeback season for me this year, 2022. Like I never had a year like this, man. I thought the blessings was done. And then God was like, nah. In my teaching profession, he like, teacher of the quarter. There you go. You deserve it. All right, cool, man. The accolades, people shaking my hand, like, all right, man, that's fine. So I'm just chilling. Now it's December, what, 8th, 9th? And like, nah, you know what? Teacher of the month. There you go. Blessings. It's just blessings, just accolades coming in. And I'm like, yo, this is, and then just my business, like, I'd be like, all right, man, I gotta get this fixed. I gotta worry about this as far as like my baby girl or my house finances. And God, like, you know what? 3 photo shoots. There you go.
Bomb.
It's easy. Oh, you need some more money? DJ gig right there. And it's like I'm a jack of all trades. I got all of these skills where I passionately love to do them, and I enjoy doing them, and I enjoy being out and making people happy through the things that I do. That it doesn't feel like work when somebody like, yo, could you DJ my party for 4 hours? And I know it's taboo, and other DJs might kill me for being like, you shouldn't take those $200 gigs, but I'm a grown man and I'm not trying to be like DJ Khaled. So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to take the $200 gig because you left it on the table. It's going to be $200 that's going to go in my baby girl, Ziggy Zig. It's going to go in her pocket or into her Christmas fund. You know what I mean? So I'm going to take them gigs because I love to do it first and foremost. But those are blessings. Those are many blessings that God is just dropping on you.
And you're right.
You got to be ready to receive them, you know?
You can't, and I was gonna say, when you said being ready to receive it, and we talked about stewarding over your gifts, like stewarding over your blessings, stewarding over your gifts is the number one thing that it takes in order for God to bless you with more.
100%.
That's
you
it.
Gotta show him, you got to show him that you can handle the minimum before he give you that increase. You know what I'm saying? And if I sound like a preacher, that's because my father is a minister. So it's my spiritual advisor as well as my father. So I hear this stuff from him, and sometimes it just comes straight out of my mouth, like, you know. But
Nah, you good, man. I remember when we first started doing the podcast, my grandmama called me and said, "Oh, I like your podcast, but don't forget to put God in it." I said, "All right, girl, I got you."
I got you.
So, though, what kind of advice would you pass on to the next generation or somebody that is in a predicament similar to yourself?
Well, I know exactly what advice I would give. Now it's harsh advice, and I know we don't curse on here, so I'm not gonna use the curse word. But my grandfather told me a valuable thing when I was a kid. I was probably like 10 years old, and I say it all the time. If you know me, and I say it in person, uh, nobody don't owe you blank.
Come on now.
And then he went on personally to me to say, so stop acting like people owe you blank. And then time went on, and he was like, he would add to it and say, but here's the good thing. You don't owe nobody anything. You know what I mean? So you don't have to get out there and look for validation for your gift or your what you're trying to achieve in life. You don't have to look for validation. And we live in this social media era, and that I'm not going to beat up on, because I mean we're the generation that invented social media. When we came to college, this is how we're dating ourselves. Facebook was brand new. Like, you just could write on somebody's timeline from your computer and wait till they responded to come back to your dorm, get on the computer again and be like, she responded. We gonna link up at the quad. 10 hours pass by. Now it's Saturday. You're like, yes, we're gonna link up at the quad. You got to hit up with another message before you know it. It's
Yeah.
classic. Looking.
Yeah.
So I said that because it's a lot of validation that people are seeking, and you don't owe nobody anything, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's a positive. I've took it over the years. It's a positive way. It just, you have to do what's best for you, and if you're older, you and your family, you and yours, you and the people around you. Uh, and sometimes it's not gonna be appealing to your friends. They're not gonna like it. But you have to do what's best for you. You have to be you. You don't owe anybody anything. Just remember that. You really do not owe anybody anything. You have to do it for you. Your parents can't do it for you. Once a man or a woman grows up, they have to depart from their family. They have to leave the nest, so to speak. And once you leave the nest, you still got that community, you still have that village, but you got to make stuff happen. You got to do those tests and get those grades to graduate from college. You got to go to that job interview. Somebody can prepare you for it, but you ultimately you have to do it. So I would say, nobody don't owe you nothing, and you got to stop acting like people owe you something. This entitlement culture, and I don't want to beat up on the young generation, because some of us in our 30s and 40s, that in 80s babies, some of us feel like we're entitled, you know. But definitely nobody.
You're not owed the rewards of stuff you didn't work for. No, what did it say? You're not owed the rewards for the work you didn't do.
The work you didn't do, you got to put the work in. Do work.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And I always talk to Mike, like my co-host. Um, we always talk about that, putting in the work, putting in the time. You can't reap the harvest if you didn't, till the soil, put down the seed. So you can't expect anything to grow.
100%.
So though, what is your personal motto? What are the words that you live by? I was about to say, man, I set you up.
Live royally. That's it. It's real simple. You just need to live royally. What does that look like? It ain't kangs and quangs. You don't got to do all of that. You don't got to be super woke. You just need to live in a manner where you're bringing positivity in the world, where you're bringing positivity to yourself. Let's start there. If you're bringing positivity to yourself, you're going to push that positivity outwards onto somebody else. And if I think we all live royally, we all lived in a positive manner, things would start to look a little better in society. We're not gonna be able to fix everything, but just live royally, man. And I think things will work itself out. If you want to know more about it, you can go to liveroyally.com, shop liveroyally.com, liveroyallymedia.com, or doughboythechef.com. And they're all the same. They're all gonna take you to the same website, just different pages. And you'll find out everything you need to know about me. If I didn't put it all out here right now, you'll be able to pick up some of this cool merchandise. This is Live Royally street apparel. Uh, Something else about me: when I was younger, I was a skateboarder. I came to Daytona, and I kind of my skate culture. I got back into the skate culture because Daytona Beach, if you didn't know, is the huge skate capital. So in Florida in particular, a huge skate capital. So was like I took the motto and put it into a street brand for the young kids because it's something positive. The logo, the official logo here, is kind of an oxymoron. I don't know if you can see it. It's a dead guy.
Yeah,
it's an oxymoron.
I was gonna say you can't really live royally when you're dead.
100. You like one of the few that get that. Like, you want to live now. You want to live now because you can't live when you're dead. I should make that onto a shirt. You can't live when you're dead. How much you want for?
You can have it, bro. Take it. But once again, y'all, it's your girl T Hardaway. My man Michael Basile is missing, but this is definitely the Did It for the Hood podcast. Appreciate you for tuning in. Make sure you tune back in because we're gonna give you great guests and great content. Peace out.